scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you?
What's up, guys?
Howdy.
We're back with more traditionally super depressing content for you.
Always.
So, it's all good.
Get ready.
Yeah, get ready to be really sad and upset.
Per usual.
We built you up to tear you back down this week.
Like good cult leaders do, really.
Exactly. Tonks is breathing our stinky breath on us.
So stinky.
Oh my goodness, stinky girl.
We're doing a little bit of a current event today.
Yeah.
Just reading some articles, talking about what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, at least with me, sometimes staying up to date on current events is very stressful and
extremely.
It's like doom scrolling, and I feel better when I take the time to actually go to a news website rather than just scrolling through Twitter and seeing all the things,
Yep.
So hopefully this is that'll be what this is for you.
Yeah, just a little bit hey, this is what this is. Mm-hmm. Instead of seeing, hearsay or just people who are sad about said thing, which I mean, we will also be commenting on it, so whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Instead of just a piece of something. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we're getting it right off of news websites.
Yeah.
At least I am, so it's not going to be I don't know. It's not part of the discourse necessarily.
That's exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we'll kind of be reading you some little news articles.
Just talking about some things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start us off with our first article?
Sure, I'll do it. So all of mine today are, like I said, we're going to bring you down. So just, be prepared.
Be prepared.
All of my articles that I have today are about the recent ban on healthcare for transgender youth.
Oh,
in
fun.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, all of Utah, I guess, not just Salt Lake. So yeah, cool.
Very sick.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah. So it's going to be really
I think Utah has a huge percentage of the houseless population is trans people who have gotten kicked out of their parents' houses.
And that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That would really add up. So
not surprised.
Yeah, so good. So so I don't know, I guess I just have a couple different news sources to kind of give different angles on the story, I suppose. So my first one is from the Salt Lake Tribune, which for y'all who aren't locals, obviously you can assume that is our local newspaper in Salt Lake.
Yes.
That I feel tends to be pretty good at being unbiased.
Yeah, they're a little bit more, I don't know. I guess I just tend to be more weary of conservative newspapers. I guess that Salt Lake Tribune is more of a liberal newspaper.
I would say, yeah.
Whatever,
it's not Deseret News.
Deseret News is definitely the conservative one.
Yes, which again for you non-Salt Lakers, that's the Mormon newspaper, basically.
Yeah.
Anywho, so this one was pre, I guess full ban on this. This bill, I guess, basically had gone through, and they were just waiting on Governor Cox to sign it or not sign it, and that would put a full ban on this healthcare. So anyway, let's get into it. So this bill has reached, or was coming to, this was as of January 27th, was coming to Cox's desk. Some Republican lawmakers had gotten together and had passed a bill in the House and the Senate, had passed a bill which would prevent doctors from providing puberty blockers. It doesn't really go into detail in this specific article about what it is, but basically they wanted to put a ban on these puberty blockers that they give to young trans people to help them from stopping developing male or female quote unquote traits when they start going through puberty, right? Because you develop breasts and
Puberty's really hard.
Puberty
to
sucks.
transition if you've gone through it.
Exactly,
it can be
right?
A lot more. It's more difficult for sure.
It is, right, because that's kind of what starts setting
Mm-hmm.
the visible aspects of certain gender things in motion, basically. And so, however, and I'm sure I'll get to this later in other articles, but, you know, what's not being said here, or the part that's being whispered kind of, is that this is reversible. Puberty blockers are
Absolutely.
reversible, or you just stop taking them and then they stop
And
blocking your puberty
yeah.
and it goes on. It flows around. And so, whatever, this whole thing is so fucking just blatant transphobia and rude, and I hate everyone. Okay, anywho. Right, so the Utah Senate passed the bill 20-8 in a vote on Friday morning. It was Senator David Hinkins, Todd Weiler, oh, sorry, I guess that was 2 of the 6. God, I'm so sorry. I'm having terrible reading comprehension at the moment.
It is okay.
Got it. Okay, here we go. So Senator David Hinkins and Todd Weiler were 2 Republicans that joined the 6 Democrats who voted against the bill.
Oh.
And then one of the other Republican senators, Daniel Thatcher, had been a critic of the bill, but wasn't there for Friday's vote, apparently, which I'm kind of like,
Cool. Yeah.
great way to just speak truth to like what you're great. Yeah.
Isn't that like your job to be there?
That's
for votes?
you're a senator.
Don't you make like $600,000 a year to do that?
Yeah. So it's like, you know, if you're going to
Very cool. Yeah.
like let your actions match your words, Thatcher. Anyway, so then as of the 27th, Cox had 10 days to decide whether he was going to veto the bill or sign it. He pretty much, like classic Cox shit, he waffles around and he's never like made any sort of like, he's like, I support transgender people, but then fucking passes
Literally does nothing.
shit all the time, or sits there and does nothing. Yeah. So anyway, so this is sitting on his desk and he hadn't really said anything for or against it, but as we'll find out soon, obviously he signed the bill, and to no one's shock, right? So this bill came from Senator Mike Kennedy, Republican from Alpine, Utah. So wording of the bill, this bill would bar doctors from prescribing hormone therapy for minors who have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which they go on to say is a medical diagnosis of mental distress caused by a conflict between a person's gender identity and the gender they were assigned at birth. Cool.
Yeah.
So this basically all came from this Mike Kennedy guy. Originally, I guess it was sort of going to be like more of a moratorium on this, and but as we now know, if you've been up to date on any sort of Utah or Salt Lake news, it's been a full out ban. So unless something goes into effect to reverse this,
and I'm sure
over.
I haven't seen too much on the right side of things, but I'm sure that they're like supporting this as some kind of like, oh, we stopped the evil libs from, you know, getting all the making all the teenagers transgender, which again, when you look at the actual what they're doing, is it's hormone blockers. Like it's not, you're not making kids, like you can't just get gender reassignment surgery. Like
no,
you have to,
and nobody's gonna give that to a 13-year-old.
Exactly. Like these are totally reversible things that are going on just to help affirm gender identity at an earlier age.
Yes. And I also don't think, and don't quote me on this, folks, but like I also don't think that you can really do, there's several surgeries I'm sure that you can't really do until the body has developed more.
Probably. I mean, that would make sense.
Like,
because you're going to be growing so much from the time when you're like 13 to when you are in a full grown adult anyway, that I assume that it would make sense that you just can't do some of the surgeries until you have fully grown.
Anyway, of course, again, this whole thing is just Republicans know nothing actually about.
True.
Anyway,
fear-mongering bullshit like
it always is.
Yeah.
I will feed you, I promise. So this Mike Kennedy, he says about the bill and where he's coming from with this whole bill, quote, I will say from my heart and the heart of everybody I know here on the Hill, whether they agree with this bill or not, compassion and love are at the base of all of this. He says that it comes from the concern for the well-being of Utah children and families. Quote, I respect the fact that this is not a perfect piece of legislation and that we are imperfect people and that this is an imperfect process. Okay.
What
Like, why even add that part?
Yeah. And like fucking bullshit. Like it comes from we want the well-being of everyone, and it's like fuck you, because this is literally in the opposite direction of the well-being of trans people, like trans kids. What the fuck? Yeah, and like why? I don't know. I'm like, why should this be the decision of the government at all? This should be the decision of the children and their families. Yeah, why are lawmakers even involved in this kind of like
which again,
talk?
Why are lawmakers involved in anything that has to do with anybody's body outside of like, let's make sure we prosecute rapists, which we don't.
No
so
one does.
The only like fucking law I could agree with that has anything to do with anybody's body is like, of course, never followed through with. So cool. Yeah. Moral of the story is hands off.
Lawmakers are bad.
Laws off and hands off everybody's fucking body.
Please
let people make their own
chill the
decisions.
fuck out, yeah.
Anyway, Taylor, I'll let you take it over and then I can
Word. Well, I have a few
get up
stories
to date on some more.
that I wanted to bring up.
Great.
Just a few little articles I found. I use mainly the BBC for news because I feel like it's the most like not weird. I don't know, because I'm not one of those like biased news kind of people, but
sure.
Also I just feel like the BBC is usually pretty good at reporting.
Yeah, well, I feel like if it's American news, they don't need to really have an angle as much as like an American news source would.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so to kind of set the stage for this one, on January 7th, 2023, 5 black police officers from the Memphis Police Department severely beat 29-year-old Tyree, I believe is the name, Tyree Nichols, a black man, during a traffic stop, resulting in his death 3 days later in the hospital. So that's kind of to set the stage there. Mm-hmm. And the title of this article is Tyree Nichols, police unit is disbanded after death. The Memphis Police Department has disbanded the so-called Scorpion Special Unit, whose officers are accused of murdering Tyree Nichols. Scorpion stands for Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. Yeah. That's the acronym, I guess.
Yeah,
it's just kind of long.
It's just, oh my God.
I know, it's
like,
this one's
what?
tough.
I mean, obviously police officers do none of this, but like, isn't the entire thing, their entire like thing is supposed to be like restoring peace or maintaining peace?
Serve and
they
protect
don't,
or whatever is the ethos of
like,
the supposed ethos.
Why would you need a special team?
Yeah, I don't
whatever.
The unit is a 50-person team tasked with bringing down crime levels in particular areas, but now is being abolished after its officers were seen beating Mr. Nichols, 29, in the videos from the 7th of January. In a statement, the department said it is in the best interest of all to permanently deactivate the unit.
Yeah.
I would say so.
I mean, at the very fucking least, right?
Yeah, these people should be in jail, these officers that did this. But while the heinous actions of a few cast a cloud of dishonor on the title Scorpion, it is imperative that we, the Memphis Police Department, take proactive steps in the healing process for all impacted, it added.
Here's the thing. So whatever disbanding this department actually even means, because I would love to know what the actual, like, if you're, what you actually mean by disbanding this department. What actions are you putting into place, and who are you removing, and are you actually removing anybody? Because what should happen is that all of these officers should be removed from the, well, step number 1, don't ever have police officers, but we're way past that. So
For sure.
All of these officers should be removed from policing, period, ever. They should never be able to participate in any sort of policing-like activity ever again. Badges removed, guns removed, vehicles removed. You're done. You don't get to be a security guard. You don't get to be a fucking, like, theft prevention guy at fucking Best Buy. Like, you're done. But my assumption, based on how policing works, is that they quote-unquote disbanded this department and then just moved these officers into different positions. Maybe you have the answer for me.
Most like, I mean, we'll
but
see
that's
if
just my assumption based on everything that's ever happened in this country ever.
That's usually how it goes. Even when like police officers get fired, quote unquote, for these things, the police union usually gets them a job, either their original job back, or they move them to a different police department, either in the same state or sometimes, you know, across to different states.
Yes.
So rarely do police officers actually stay fired when they get, quote unquote, get fired from their job.
Yeah. Or, you know, they're just given money for like the rest of their life, whether or not their
police
are
pension.
like an active. Yeah, they just get.
It's very cool. Mr. Nichols' family welcomed the decision in a statement from their lawyers, calling it both appropriate and proportional to the tragic death of Tyree Nichols, and also a decent and just decision for all citizens of Memphis. I would say appropriate and proportional is the least you could say about that.
Yeah.
The unit was launched in October 2021 with a focus on high-impact crimes such as car thefts and gang-related offenses. The 5 officers lists all of their names here.
Is car theft really a high-impact crime?
I don't know what.
Obviously,
what do you
it
call
sucks, and that's shitty. And don't steal cars, but like. What do you consider? What do you mean high impact?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, I mean, I feel like because gang-related offenses, and car thefts are like two very different sounding things.
And also, as we know, like gang offenses is such a like broad ass term.
True. Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I think high impact crime is like murder and rape, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that would be what I would think.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
So yeah, the police officers, the 5 officers, they were taken into custody on Thursday, at the time of writing this, and each faces charged. Geez Louise. Each faces charges of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. 4 of the 5 posted bail and were released from custody by Friday morning, according to jail records. So very cool that they're just able to go back home to their families. Yeah,
I mean, of course, right?
Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner Jr. said 2 deputy sheriffs who appeared on the scene following the confrontation have also been suspended pending an internal investigation. But you got to love a good old internal investigation when it comes to policing.
I mean, again, this is what they always do, and this is one of the gajillion fucking reasons why this type of shit continues to happen.
Over and over. We see it all the time.
Yep.
Despite the rain, the group of fewer than 100... Oh, there was a group of protesters. Fewer than 100 protesters had gathered in the square in front of the Memphis police headquarters to demand change to a system of policing that they said makes a habit of brutalizing black people in Memphis and across the country. Memphis is taking a stand, said Casio Montes, one of the protest organizers. This means we are doing something right. Let me see here. In an interview with BBC News on Friday, Chief Davis said the Scorpion unit was created to be a more, quotes here, more responsive and more proactive. Yeah, to be more responsive and more proactive to gun violence in the city. But
why aren't you already?
I don't know.
What is the point of having, oh my God, it's like, what is the point of having a fucking police department if you're not like responding to gun crime? You need to have people that are more doing that. Yeah. Like, oh my God,
these are the special guy. This is the best of the best police
right
force.
It's like that is like a baseline what your job is. Why
you're
are you
just
not
like
already
inherently
doing that?
saying, like, you're just saying that, like, you're proving the point that policing doesn't work.
Literally.
Yeah. We are doing an individual evaluation of all units. She said, this is a necessary step. We want to be fully transparent to the community.
But for some, the problem of police violence is more deeply rooted than any reform can address. At the rally Saturday, Memphis native Allie Watkins held a sign that proclaimed all cops uphold white supremacy. Based.
Yeah, true.
The sign is historically accurate, she said, because the history of policing in America began with slave patrols.
Also true.
And the Border Patrol. This is not an issue of corruption in the United States. This is an issue of the fact that the system has been built against black bodies, she said. If the system is broken, she added, the only way to fix it is to start again. I would agree. Trying to find any other points. So the Scorpion program was touted by Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland in a speech a year ago. He said the city used crime data to determine where the unit will conduct its enforcement activities within the city. From October 2021 until January 2022, the unit made 566 arrests. He said that they also seized more than $100,000 in cash, 270 vehicles, and 253 weapons. So good old police just stealing shit like they usually do.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's like, I love that they put the piece about them getting, what did it say, over $100,000 in cash. It's
in
like,
cash.
So you're just taking people's money. Like,
Pretty much.
That's not, I don't, how is that helping me as like if pretend I'm a citizen of fucking Memphis, how is that helping me live a safer life? You stole somebody's money, now I'm safe?
I think I was telling you Afro Man wrote a song about when cops raided his house, and literally they steal money right from his fucking like jacket pocket, and he catches them on his security cam footage. It's fucking crazy.
Well, and the whole thing too with that is like, they'll take money in the name of like, oh, this was money that was made with like drug trafficking or selling
illicit
drugs
funds,
or whatever,
if you will.
Right. And I'm just like, I still feel that you don't have a right to take that money. Like, I don't really,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. And especially because a lot of times I feel like they take it before there's like a verdict, you know? Like
right.
They're just
That's the
taking it when
thing.
they arrest people.
Right.
So who knows if you get that money back if you're like, if you're fucking proven innocent or whatever.
Exactly.
But I don't know. Last point here to bring up. So in the wake of Mr. Nichols' death, one local man, Cornell McKinney, told a Memphis area TV network that he had a tense encounter with the unit on the 3rd of January, just days before the incident involving Mr. Nichols. Mr. McKinney alleges the officers who were traveling in unmarked vehicles threatened to blow his head off, quotes there, pointed a weapon at his head, and accused him of carrying drugs. He complained to the Memphis Police Department after the incident, but says he has not heard anything back. One of the officers that arrested Mr. Nichols had previously been sued by a man who accused him of beating him when he was a prisoner 8 years ago.
Oh, my God.
So, and again, I'm sure that there was one 8 years ago and then one literally days before.
Yep.
And, nobody did fucking anything about it.
Yeah,
so.
And again, I mean, this is what happens every single time. The same cop who killed Cody Bellegarde's brother, who I'm so sorry that I am blanking on his name. I knew his brother personally, so I'm remembering his name. But he also killed Bernardo.
Yeah.
Palacios. So it's like, literally,
he
had been proven to have killed this man, never got prosecuted for it, did the same thing.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's awful.
Like, and I think I think just, it's like, with this whole thing, there's just nothing fucking new to say, right? Like, there's nothing more interesting to add to the conversation, or there's no more, like, impactful way to do the protests, or...
Like, well, have you thought about this?
Right,
like
no, it's just...
We've all said it, yeah.
This is just a glaring fucking light on the fact that, like, the only solution is abolition. Because, I mean, holy fucking shit, how long now have we been protesting against this kind of thing and speaking about this kind of thing and experiencing this and this exact type of fucking situation down to almost exactly the mechanisms wherein which they killed a man in this way has happened multiple times now. And it's like, we can't, like, there's nothing new to add to the conversation. There's no different way to spin this. There's no special way to say that, like, this is an isolated incident or there's some different thing that we can do different. Like, no, this is just the only way that this shit will ever stop happening is no more police. That's fucking it. It's proof time and time again. They don't give a fuck, A, and B, they will continue to be protected by the system that we have. So I'm so fucking sick of hearing it. Like, this is the only option that we have, and we're never going to get abolition aside from, like, I don't know. I literally believe in my heart, like, I think violence is the only way we're going to get there. And obviously that's just going to be, I don't even know. That's a whole other conversation to be had, but it's just like, fuck, dude. Like, listen
to our violence is cool and good episode.
Right. Like, there's no, I don't know.
It is discouraging because you hear a lot of the same things
over
and over. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think that there's any way that we're going to reform the police or vote the police to be better. Right. You know, I don't think that that's something that is doable or is possible with our current system.
No. And we're not even, we won't reach abolition with the way that, like, the entire United States government is set up. We will not be able to unless we, like, fully dismantle this government, which I'm sorry. And I know that's, like, insanely discouraging to say, but, like, I don't even, I should just shut the fuck up because there's literally nothing new to say and have a conversation about this. Like, it's
tough.
How many times in a row are we going to have to look at this shit? Like, you know, we tried to abolish qualified immunity. Well, here we are. We tried to, like, there's so many different fucking things that we've tried, and there's a million stories every day that mirrors this. Like, it's just like the fucking school shootings or mass shootings on any level. Like, I can't have a conversation. There's no conversation to be had about it anymore because we know where we stand and we know where the government stands. Right. So. And we know the answer. And it's clear as day that the government, anybody in power, doesn't care. They don't care. Like, they can feign concern and upset. Fucking, who was it? Like, Mitt Romney or something put some statement out that was like, oh, this is sad. And it's like, fuck you. I don't even, fuck you for even saying that. I'm sorry. I'm, like, going off now. But it's like, literally fuck you for even saying that, Mitt. Because, like, you have a sprinkle of power in this system that none of us have, and you don't give a shit. We know you don't give a shit, so stop saying the words. Sorry,
you've never done anything.
Nobody fucking cares what you have to say. Like, oh my god. And Joe Biden can cry about it and say, "Wow, I'm so sorry," but it's like, again, those words literally mean nothing because you have proven time and time again you don't care. You don't
give a fuck.
You don't care, and you are not going to do anything. And we know you're not. So. Okay, anyway, I'm done.
Anyway, well, we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah, sorry. Wow.
No, don't be sorry. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, true.
Tonks has got to go outside.
Yeah, she's extremely ready if you haven't heard her jumping around in the background. Anyway, all right.
And we're back.
We're back.
Back. So back, it's crazy, actually.
It's...
like
literally unbelievable.
Truly. I wish I had more back puns that I haven't used already.
I know. I'm trying to think of all the...
Got Back a lot.
We did, yeah.
Baby Back Ribs.
Baby Back Ribs. We did the Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Featuring Brendan Fraser, our Lord and Savior.
Love that man.
So true.
Love that man.
The Mummy 1 and 2. Sexual awakenings for me as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, who isn't it? You know.
True. Yeah.
Who hasn't it been a sexual awakening?
Whomst among us.
Whomst among us. Oh man. Yeah. Yep.
I think it's back to you.
Yeah. Let's do it. So, to kind of continue on with what I was saying, So in the original Salt Lake Tribune article that I was reading, there's a bit that says that legislative lawyers have warned that the bill might be found unconstitutional if challenged in court. And so here's a linked article about that. Also from the Salt Lake Tribune, by the way. Blocking gender-affirming healthcare in Utah could be found unconstitutional, a legal review found. A legal review obtained by the Salt Lake Tribune says Utah Senate Bill 16 could be challenged in court as unconstitutional. The revised bill passed the Utah House on Thursday. A bill to block doctors providing gender-affirming healthcare to transgender minors could be deemed by a court to be unconstitutional, a legal review by the Utah legislature found. Still on Thursday, the Utah House gave their final approval to the legislation. Shocking. The House lawmakers passed a bill slightly different than senators sent them earlier this week, meaning state senators will need to vote on the House's new version of the bill. That vote could come as early as tomorrow. This was as of January 26th.
See, that's so frustrating because it's like, and, you know, I would say yes, I think it is inconstitutional, and I don't even fucking care about the Constitution necessarily, but it's just not, like, it's inhumane. Like, it's not how humans treat each other.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's such bullshit because they're like, well, this is actually going to be unconstitutional. And it's like, well, they obviously don't give a fuck about the Constitution because they just overturned Roe v. Wade.
Literally.
Like, they don't care. They don't care that it's unconstitutional.
No, and that doesn't matter. Like, again, the law... Not again as of this episode, again as of probably we say this almost every episode, like the law doesn't apply to politicians and lawmakers and political powers. Like, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's unconstitutional because it's still going to happen. You know what else was marijuana passed in Utah? It was voted on by the people and passed, which is how democracy works. And then the legislation said, JK, no actually, legal marijuana for you, or no recreational marijuana for you. Literally, they just said no and didn't give us a fucking bill that that we voted on and that we passed, that it, you know, I can't even words won't even come out of my mouth.
They did. We voted. We were like, yes, everybody wants this thing. Yeah. And they were like, actually, what about no? Yeah.
Like, it was on the ballot and everybody said, the majority of people said, yippee, hooray, let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And then they literally just didn't let us have it.
They just were like, actually, no, the church gives us way too much money to legalize something they don't want us to.
Yep. So again, like,
so fucking frustrating, dude.
Who gives a fuck about the Constitution? Like, okay. Yeah. It's like literally, I don't care if it's unconstitutional because, or I guess I care, but like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Especially because I feel like, especially like in this situation with like conservative lawmakers, like, and really just conservatives in general, like the Constitution is like just a way for them. It's like how people use the Bible to like further their own points, you know, like they pick and choose what they want to out of these like documents, you know, it's being like the American, you know, like documents, and the same with the Bible. Like, sure, it's just like whatever their ideology is, they're like, well, this supports that. And it's like, not really. No, not like if you actually read it, it doesn't. Yeah. But like you, for one reason or another, like, people have tricked. I don't know. It's just how people use shit like that. And it's frustrating and stupid.
Yep. Okay. Senate Bill 16 bans surgeries on minors if they are intended as part of a sex change. The bill also enacts a moratorium on prescribing hormone treatments for new patients like puberty blockers for transgender youth. During that pause, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services will study the scientific data on the use of those medications. I mean, it's been studied. We have it. The study's done.
Has it? It's been like being used for a while. Like I know, like there's this trans YouTuber that I watch, Samantha Lux. Good videos if you like trans issues. And she like herself got hormone blockers when she was a teenager, I believe. And like, like it's something that they've been using. Yeah,
like, I mean,
I don't see why they need to test it.
Safely used. Well, and it's it's interesting to me. The part that the little asterisk part for me, I suppose, is the fact that it's specifically the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, which I know people that work for the Department of Health, and it's not necessarily evil, but everything in Utah's, anything in our government of this wonderful state is swayed.
It's got like a tinge. Everything has like a tinge of evil to it.
Yeah, and so it's just like what extra special things is the Utah Department of Health and Human Services going to find beyond what's like literally already been found? Like, what do you need to do extra? Anyway, the ending of this paragraph says, the legislation also makes it easier for transgender patients to sue medical providers for malpractice if they change their minds about their decision. That little nugget is also like really to me.
So wait, read that again one more time.
The legislation also makes it easier for transgender patients to sue medical providers for malpractice if they change their minds about their decision. So this is making it easier to put punishment on doctors who are providing healthcare to trans people, like gender affirming healthcare. Because, I'm sure there will be an odd case of someone who this does happen, right? They make this decision, they go on hormone blockers or whatever it is, even though it's a completely fucking reversible thing. And then they change their minds and then they can sue this medical provider. And so really what it's doing, though, is making it easier to punish by law medical providers. This is opening a door to make it easier to punish by law medical providers who are providing gender affirming care. That's what this is. And that, I think, is the largest part of this bill that I think is kind of being not looked at as heavily. That is extremely sinister, because this is exactly like doctors who would be providing abortions or things like that. Like, this is going to, I'm sure, I hope to God not, but I predict that we will see in a bit here move on suing or like delicensing doctors who are providing gender affirming care. I don't know. That just raises my hackles.
And it's very like, I just feel like that's such a fear mongering. It all is, but like, because I know in like right wing circles, there's a lot of discussion about like people detransitioning.
Yes.
And I just feel like they snuck that in there almost as a like weird nod to that, like
I
that
think
like
so. That's
idea that like, oh well, all being trans is trendy and such a fad. Like, there's so many people that are gonna detransition, so we're gonna sneak this in here. I don't know. It's a weird, because I think you're absolutely right in that it opens a door for legislation against doctors who provide healthcare for trans people. But and it almost seems like a way to kind of nod at like those like, for lack of a better word, like suburban parents that are like, all these trans people nowadays,
exactly. Well, and if the whole point of this was not to be Twitterfying things, but if you've been on the fucking Twitter sphere about this, you've seen the discourse about the like detransition thing, and it is very much like this story that like alt-right are, and when I say alt-right, I mean the entire right, because that's what they are latching onto those like handful of stories and using it to be like justifying their points about all of this kind of shit, right? Every single time any conversation about this comes up, they'll be like, well, this person, this one time. Anyway, so I think it totally is kind of a nod to that, and like a way that they were able to like justify and back up this sort of thing and be able to put that piece in there. Anyway, and I think the long-term thing of this is that not only is it going to be doctors getting sued, which is bad obviously, but that in turn leads to it's illegal to provide this kind of care, and therefore all of these people, trans youth and trans adults alike, will be unable to receive any sort of gender affirming medical care because it's illegal.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And I definitely, because it's the same, because I remember when I was browsing fucking 4chan or Kiwi Farms or somewhere, and like there was like a thread about like botched transition surgeries and like a few stories that they had shared about people being like, it was the worst decision of my entire life to transition, which again is such a small handful of the actual stories you hear.
Right.
Again, like personally knowing multiple trans people, a lot of them will tell me and would tell anybody like it's the best thing that they've ever done.
Yep.
They feel, it is. I remember. I feel like maybe I don't know if I mentioned my friend James on the podcast before. Our friend
we might
James,
have, yeah.
but like we once had a conversation where he was talking about how like gender dysphoria is like the illness and transitioning is the cure for it.
Right. That's a great way to put it.
Exactly. Like it's not like being trans isn't a mental illness. The gender dysphoria is a mental illness. And
exactly.
Transitioning is the cure for that.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
Well said.
True, truly.
Shout out James. We love you.
Shout out James.
Where did I just see this thing? God damn it. I saw an interesting quote. Hold on.
No worries.
Here it is. I just find this interesting. Ahead of the vote, representative. Sorry, guys. Okay. Ahead of the vote, Representative Kathy Hall, Republican from Ogden, said her colleagues have a moral obligation to vote for the bill to protect children from making a permanent decision at a young age. We must stand up and protect them. The future of our state, nation, and world depends on the young ones we are privileged to serve.
It's first off not permanent.
Yeah.
Second off, it's very like narrow-minded. I don't know, like it's very narrow-minded to be like what you're feeling is not real. Like it's almost how it sounds is like, well, oh, you're a teen. I mean, and I know teenagers can sometimes be like,
well, sure, however,
things, but it's just hard. I don't know. It's just very bold to be like,
yeah,
you what you're feeling is fake. I don't know.
Right. Well, and I also think it's very bold to think that your idea of protecting children is what's protecting children. When, I mean, we know and we have the numbers to say it's absolutely what's harming children. Yeah. Also, just extremely ironic, and I don't know if I said Kathy, it's Katie. I don't really care, but it's pretty ironic, Katie. I don't know if you're LDS, but coming from a majority Mormon state and saying that this is protecting children from making a permanent decision at a young age. Let's talk about getting baptized. Yeah. You're 8 years fucking old. And sure, that's not necessarily permanent. However, it's extremely difficult to get you have to get a fucking lawyer to get your name removed from the fucking Mormon, whatever the fuck. And also when the legal marrying age in Utah is 16.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a permanent decision. I mean, again, these are all also this decision, not permanent. The healthcare decision, not permanent. Getting married, not necessarily permanent. Getting baptized in the LDS church, not necessarily permanent. However, getting married at 16 and getting baptized into the LDS, not church, at 8 years old are a fuckload more of a permanent decision than taking some puberty blockers that you can stop taking.
I would say so.
And I mean, this is the argument always that they always have is just that.
And then along the lines of what you were saying, like you're gonna sit there and talk to me about like protecting children, and then like we have countless studies, records, statistics showing that like the suicide rate among LGBTQ youth in Utah, and from religious environments is astronomically higher than in other like environments.
Exactly.
But you're gonna tell me
talk
like this
about
is
a permanent decision.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me this is what's best for children. Like fuck you.
Yeah. Also, when this state is so pro assault rifle, this state it never prosecutes rape charges.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know nothing about protecting children ever.
Yeah, everything else you believe, and this included, but putting this aside, is like diametrically opposed to protecting children.
Right. I mean, this is one of the states that is like so unsafe for children, at least like mentally.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll jump into my next story.
Yeah. Please do.
It's a little bit, I guess it's not, I mean, it's bad, definitely, but it's not quite as like, oh, fuck, you know? Headline for this article, because again, I chose 3 different ones. Headline for this article is Trump's 2024 campaign has a different look for now.
God.
Donald Trump's announcement that he is running for U.S. president in 2024 wasn't a lark or a ploy to avoid prosecution, as some have speculated. He's hitting the road and laying the kind of groundwork necessary for a serious bid to recapture the White House. Nearly 3 months after announcing his campaign, the former president made his first campaign foray out of his adopted home state of Florida on Saturday. In New Hampshire, he addressed a meeting of the Republican Party and announced the outgoing state party chair would be a senior advisor to his campaign. Blah, blah, blah. Boring campaign stuff.
Also, I really resent the fact that him running for president could be like a way to get out of being prosecuted.
I know,
like,
exactly.
How does that make any sense?
Very cool. Well, and that's always frustrated me because I remember somebody asked Joe Biden when he became president, like, oh, are you going to like go after Donald Trump for the countless crimes? And Joe Biden was like, well, I think we need, if we set a precedent of, you know, prosecuting presidents for all the bad, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know, maybe we should, Joe, actually.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to set that precedent? Sounds like a great precedent to set.
Maybe a reason why you wouldn't want to set that precedent is because you're going to also be doing crimes and you don't want them to prosecute you when you get out of the office.
No, exactly.
Anyway, Mr. Trump once again denied his 2020 defeat and told his supporters that he, unlike any possible Republican alternatives, would be the most effective nominee in 2024. To change the whole system, you need a president who can, I don't have a good Trump impression, take on the whole system. And a president who can win, he said from the state capitol's main hall.
Crazy because you did lose.
You
also, a crime to say that you didn't lose that election.
Yeah,
that's a crime right there.
That's the crime number 1.
Cool.
Yeah. For counting crimes.
Doing
here.
it again.
Yeah. Honestly, it would be fun to do a crime count on Donald Trump.
Ooh, great idea. Bonus episode idea.
Bonus episode.
Famous 1990s band, Counting Crimes.
Mr. Trump.
Mr. Trump and me breaking into the Capitol.
So true. Let's see. When people talk about other candidates, this is a quote, when people talk about other candidates running and they say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, Trump has actually done it, someone said. He has all the oxygen in the room. I don't really, I mean, he didn't do any of the shit that he, his big campaign promises.
Absolutely just false. The wall, the swamp.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, no, what happened to his fucking wall? That never happened.
Never.
Yeah, and he was going to make Mexico pay for it.
Yeah.
While Iowa is the first state to hold a Republican presidential nomination contest in 2024, Mr. Trump finished third there in 2016, and the evangelical Christians who dominate the state's Republican electorate could be eyeing another possible candidate like former Vice President Mike Pence, which would be so terrible.
Oh, my fucking God.
And former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Blah, 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 blah. Again, a lot of election stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All those boring election polls and whatnot.
Yeah, this next year's election is going to be... Wait, it's next year, right? 24?
Yes.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Holy fuck, I can't believe it's... Oh my God.
Almost been 4 years, yeah. If rallies and Facebook donations were the fuel for Mr. Trump's past White House bids, his South Carolina stop was a different kind of operation. With only 300 announced attendees, it was a decidedly low-key event compared to his typical arena gatherings with their carnival atmosphere. Attire tended towards sport coats and dresses, not Make America Great Again hats and Let's Go Brandon shirts.
Christ.
To win a third Republican presidential nomination, however, Mr. Trump will need the support of the political rank and file in states like New Hampshire and South Carolina, as well as his rally-going loyalists. And while Mr. Trump's national polls show continued strength, a recent South Carolina survey had nearly half of Republican voters expressing a preference for someone else besides Trump. Someone else will not appear on primary ballots, however. Thank you, journalist. And with just over a year until voting begins, while he is still the only announced candidate, Donald Trump is testing out new ways to make that pitch. They say he's not doing rallies and he's not campaigning. Maybe he's lost his step, Mr. Trump said in New Hampshire. I'm more angry now and I'm more committed now than I ever was. So that's something we can look forward to.
Yeah. It is interesting, and it will be interesting to see, because I do think like he still very much has this cult following. He has his parlor, and he has his like these people that are still so like literally cultily devoted to him. However, I do think with like a large percentage of Republicans that aren't like cult Trump obsessed but were Trump supporters in the past have made this like shift away from him. And I think even like the general like GOP has kind of like tried to sort of distance themselves from him. So I think it will be very interesting. I think it's 100% going to have to depend on like who the other Republican candidate or candidates are.
I agree.
Please, Jesus, don't let it be Mike Pence. Oh my God.
See, and that's the thing that I always like, I feel like I was kind of saying for a while is like, Donald Trump, fucking terrible, obviously.
Yeah.
Not a good president, not a good person.
Yeah, bad, all around.
Scum. But the thing that, like, I guess I'm more worried about is, like, when someone who's smarter than Donald Trump, but equally as, like, overtly of a fascist comes into power and is able to actually, like, consolidate that power in a meaningful way, whereas, like, Trump really wasn't.
Right.
I think that that's something that we should be more concerned about even than Donald Trump. So, like, if Mike Pence were to become president, I would be more scared of that.
100%.
Because I think Mike Pence is a lot smarter than Donald Trump. In how he would go about bringing, you know, oppression.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I think that Donald Trump is better at gaining like this devout support.
Yeah.
However, I think that Pence won't have these like weird groupies. Not that that even fucking matters. It literally doesn't matter. He could still easily win an election if he runs. Don't, Mike. But yeah, I think like he won't have this weird like overwhelming like fall to your knees in a CVS support that these people do for Trump, but he will 100% be able to just slide this legislation through that will ruin all of our lives.
Yeah, oh for sure. And that's the scary part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially if like again, if you get somebody who's as charismatic as Donald Trump and as smart as Mike Pence, or if they again like if the roles were reversed and like Donald Trump was not the president and like had that cult following and was able to like send them to someone else, you know, that's the scary thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and obviously he'll endorse Pence.
Oh yeah, of course. You know, whatever. I'm sure if Pence got the nomination, he'd get an endorsement like immediately.
Yeah, which don't
fucking do it. Anyway.
God, I'm so afraid to see who the candidates are going to be.
Me fucking too.
I'm afraid to see who the Democratic candidates are. I mean, obviously I'm afraid of all of it, like, because I suspect once again, and not that I ever think any Democratic candidate's good, but like I suspect once again that it's going to be slim pickings, and it's going to be like another Joe and Hillary, and it's like, where are you getting these people? Like, can you not find anyone else who's like more? I don't know. I hate all of them, but like, do we have no one else?
Yeah, it's like, it's unfortunate that like our most progressive Democratic like politician right now is like AOC.
Yeah.
Which like AOC is just like she's like a Bernie, like they're just New Deal Democrats.
Right.
Like they're not.
Right.
And I guess you could talk about like what do they call that thing? The Overtian window or something like that, where it's like how. Like where the comfortable politics are, you know?
Totally, yes.
You can talk about that and like why leftist politics aren't even in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's I kind of That's a conversation. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah. And I think also we all know she will never take the election if and I don't even think she's old enough to run yet, but like she won't take the election. So
I truly don't believe
she will never.
She's kind of got everything stacked against her in that
100%.
regard. Like,
yeah.
If like the closest we got was like Bernie Sanders to like a progressive president, and even then it's like Bernie Sanders is like an old white guy,
yeah, and
like he couldn't do it, so like I don't think that like we're America's too sexist and racist for AOC
exactly
like not at this point anyway. Someday in the future I would love to see more, obviously, but
but
America's a cool place.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take another break.
Let's do it.
Breathe. Drink some water. Touch some grass.
Yeah. If you're in Utah, maybe not. Stay inside. It's cold.
It's cold as fuck.
If you live somewhere where there's grass growing right now, do that.
Please.
Enjoy for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Break. Hello.
Gravy. He be clean like Windex.
So true.
Just hit your mom with my index.
Yeah.
And yo, bitch, look like a pinhead. All my haters, they be skinheads.
I mean, poetry, really. The greatest philosopher of our time, Young Gravy.
I mean,
obviously.
Yeah, I know. Just, I don't even have the words. It's so, it speaks to, everything that we're experiencing at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah, like the works of Karl Marx, Kropotkin, Goldman, even the poetic works of like Whitman, Cummings,
Cummings,
Dickinson. They really just don't hold a candle to the true like philosophical, poetic powerhouse that is Young Gravy.
Yes, yes, youthful beef sauce,
youthful vegetable stock sauce
goo.
Yeah, vegetable goo. Love it.
Anyway,
we have fun here.
We do. It's great. We're high spirits all the time.
Never sad.
So, for my final little article that I will read to you, little cuties, is from the New York Times. Also about the shit I've been talking about. Same shit. So, New York Times has this to say. Utah bans transition care for transgender youth. The measure signed by the governor on Saturday is a part of a wave of proposed legislation in states across the country this year that would restrict transgender rights.
Woo.
Governor Spencer Cox of Utah signed a bill on Saturday that blocks minors from receiving gender transition health care, the first such measure in the country this year in what is expected to be a wave of legislation by lawmakers to restrict transgender rights, which, I kind of had a feeling, and also leave it to Utah to set the precedent, right?
Love it.
Of course. The law prohibits transgender youth in the state from receiving gender-affirming surgery and places an indefinite ban on hormone therapy with limited exceptions. Mr. Cox, a Republican, said in a statement that banning these treatments was necessary until more research could be done on their long-term effects. Quote, while we understand our words will be of little comfort to those who disagree with us, no shit, you fuckhead. We sincerely hope that we can treat our transgender families. I'll kill you. Sorry. Let me finish reading this quote. Let me start again because I just literally was struck with such anger in my heart. Okay. While we understand our words will be of little comfort to those who disagree with us, we sincerely hope that we can treat our transgender families with more love and respect as we work to better understand the science and consequences behind these procedures. Do you know who knows the science and consequences? Do you know who fully fucking can, oh my God, who every day is thinking about what the consequences of these procedures and medical care is? The transgender families. You don't need to be thinking about this or making these decisions or understanding the science, Spencer. They know. They're making these decisions for themselves. It's not like you waltz into the clinic and you say, I'm trans, give me pills or give me surgery. They don't just do that. It is months of, you have to see therapists and get approval. You have to go to psychiatrists. You have to sit in this fucking office and talk to somebody for hours and hours about the depths of your dysphoria and how hard it is for you. It's oh my God.
Spencer Cox.
No, I cannot express to you the level of hate. Burning, like, it makes me, I feel it in my chest. I have pain. I fucking hate this man so much. Fuck you to hell, Spencer Cox. You are the biggest asshole in the history of this fucking state. That's saying a lot. You are the most do nothing until it comes to ruining the lives of already marginalized communities. You are the most embarrassing, most fucking pussy ass, pansy ass piece of shit bitch that has ever had the gall to think that you have the ability, the intellectual ability to represent a state. Fuck you to hell. I hope you have a miserable life and I hope you die soon because I fucking hate you. You are a piece of shit. You are a stain on this fucking state and country's history, as bad as any of them out there. God damn it. Resign from your job. You are, the blood is on your hands. The blood is on your hands. The blood of these trans kids is on your fucking hands. So go to bed with that at night. Fuck you so bad. Sorry. Okay.
No,
enough.
That's okay. We hear remarks. We agree with every statement Phoebe
oh
just
my
said.
God.
We fucking
He
hate
is
him.
such a just smarmy fucking asshole. God damn it. How dare you? How dare you try to say that this is going to help us treat transgender families with more love and respect? Oh my God, go fuck yourself. Okay.
Yep. I nothing to add. No notes. That was correct.
And then the next paragraph after this is just beautifully said. Leading medical groups, including the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, and the American Academy of Pediatrics, have rejected claims that gender-affirming care is harmful to transgender children or adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's a lot of people that could have told you that.
Yep. The ACLU of Utah said that the state's new law violated due process and equal protection rights guaranteed by the Constitution. Quote, in this case, legislators and the governor claim to have concern for Utah's youth, but ignore the medical professionals who care for them, the parents who love them, and the young people themselves, Aaron Welcher, a spokesman, said. Exactly, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Based.
Yep. Governor Cox was one of the 2 Republican governors last year to veto a bill that would have barred transgender students from participating in girls' sports. At the time, he cited high rates of suicide among transgender youth and acknowledged the concerns of transgender activists that the bill would adversely affect the mental health of transgender children. So
he knows.
Yep. And then he goes on to say this, which it's just classic.
That makes it worse that he fucking knows.
No, it does. It does make it worse.
He knows how difficult it is.
Oh, he's fully aware.
And he
doesn't
does
care.
pass this shit.
He doesn't care.
He does not fuck.
And this is what he said after vetoing that, which this just is a real spit in the face when he then goes on to pass this kind of a bill. After that measure had been passed by the legislature, Mr. Cox addressed the transgender community in a news conference saying, quote, "We care about you. We love you. It's going to be okay." You don't care, though. This is just proof. This, among so many other policies and bills that you have passed, is absolute proof that you don't care. And we know you don't care. And we know that the other shit was just fucking, like, giving face to try and, like, have any sort of, like, fucking leverage with Democrats at all. Anyway, I hate you. I hate you so much. Every night I go to bed and I think about how much I hate you, and it helps me go to sleep. It lulls me to sleep thinking about the burning hate and rage that I have for you, Spencer Cox, you fucking asshole. Finn, the end.
Not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at your rage. Let the rage fuel you, truly.
Yeah, it does. Believe me, it does.
Boy, does it.
Boy, does it. Taylor, take it away, Taylor.
Last story from me here. Again, I'm going a little international with this one. Headline: German Chancellor says he won't send fighter jets to Ukraine. Good, not a bad headline. The right underneath it, the German Chancellor has ruled out sending fighter jets to Ukraine just days after committing to supplying tanks. I just thought that was funny. In an interview with a German newspaper, Olaf Scholz warned against a bidding war for weapons, but Ukraine has asked allied nations to create a fighter jet coalition to bolster their capabilities. The U.S. said it would discuss the idea of supplying jets very carefully with Kyiv on Thursday. In an interview with, I'm gonna butcher this, Tagas Spielgel, Mr. Scholz said his focus was on the delivery of German-made Leopard 2 tanks. The fact we've only just made a decision on sending tanks and the next debate is firing up in Germany, that just seems frivolous, he said. On Wednesday, Germany committed to supplying 14 of its Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine after weeks of pressure from allies. And I will say one positive thing, I know Germany has been pretty good about the Ukraine situation in trying to like stay out of it, especially with like all the Nazi things going on.
Yeah.
See our episode on the Ukraine conflict. So they have been pretty good about staying out of it, but obviously the allies, us and everybody else, have been pressuring them to back Ukraine. Following Germany's commitment to send tanks, the U.S. said it would provide Ukraine with its M1 Abrams tanks. Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister, Andriy Melnyk, has called for the creation of a fighter jet coalition that would provide Ukraine with U.S. F-16s and F-35s, Eurofighters, Tornadoes, French Rafales, and Swedish Gripen jets. Ukrainian presidential advisor, again, sorry about the name, Mikhailo Podolak. I don't know. There's a whole lot of Russian names I can't pronounce.
We don't speak Russian or Ukrainian.
Sorry.
So.
Told Ukraine's Freedom Television Network they also needed missiles to drastically reduce the Russian army's key weapon. So just more shit going on. There's still the Russia-Ukraine.
Yeah.
Maybe World War III that might happen.
Right. Which, like, I don't know. I don't even know that I have anything to say, but it's like, I think that Russia has obviously a huge like weapons arsenal, and Ukraine probably doesn't have as large of one.
Much, yeah.
But also, I just am like, I don't know that anybody needs more weapons. I think we just.
Well, and I mean, it's we kind of, and again, if you are interested, you should go listen to the episode we did, because we did kind of discuss the logistics of like why everything's happening over there, and what, how like as leftists, kind of how we should approach it, and really the approach, or the best approach, is kind of not standing for either side in this scenario, at least in my opinion, but yeah, so basically Ukraine's president echoed that sentiment in a daily video addressing, where he said the country needed the U.S.-made ATACMS missile, which has a range of 185 miles. He said the missiles would help Ukraine anticipate Russian attacks on urban areas and civilians. Washington has so far refused to provide that weapon. In the, again, names, Tagas Spielgel interview, Mr. Scholz reiterated that NATO was not at war with Russia. We will not allow such an escalation, he said. Kind of too late. I kind of feel like NATO is at war with Russia. He confirmed that he speaks regularly to Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, with the most recent call between the two in December of 2022. We need to talk to each other, he said, but added that he was always clear that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was absolutely unacceptable, and only the withdrawal of its troops would resolve the situation. So, just a little check-in on what's going on in that good old Eastern Europe there.
Still happening.
Putin's still fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Ukraine's still got some Nazis there. So yeah, not boy, if the climate doesn't kill us, the leaders sure will.
Oh my god. Yeah. So good things happening in the news, you guys.
It's always good. I feel like usually we always kind of give the advice, I feel like, when we talk about something bad, but like be there for each other, love each other. Hug your dogs and your pets. Yep. Really tight tonight. Yeah. Don't let there are good things happening. Re-listen to our episode last week if you want some good content.
Well, and I don't know, I think I guess like a way to sort of positively spin at least what I was talking about today. The reason all of this pushback is happening is because of what a strong move forward, especially this like, you know, newer, let's say Gen Z generation has made in like normalizing and giving healthy space to like transgender people or just like LGBTQ people in general. I was reading something, probably a Twitter post, that was saying like, I believe it was a teacher or something. I'm like so paraphrasing here, so I'm probably not correct exactly. But anyway, basically it was saying like in a classroom with all of these like Gen Z or younger kids, there was like several trans kids or like non-binary kids in the class, and it literally was just like no fucking big deal. Like nobody gave two single shits. It was just like, cool, that's glad to know your name and what pronouns I should refer to you by. And that was it. And, you know, this is why the alt-right, you know, these old white fucking men who are afraid of losing any modicum of their power, or truly what it is they're afraid of equality, because then they lose the grip and control that they have on the rest of us. You know, that's why this is happening, is because all of you and a lot of us, especially if you're listening to this podcast, have created a world in which it's such a non-issue. And we do have safe spaces now, and they want to take that away from us, which obviously sucks and is scary. But like, you know, I think a large portion of the population is in support of everyone, of you know, of trans people, trans kids, and LGBTQ kids, and so you know, whenever this kind of shit is happening, it's because we've created a space for ourselves.
No, I agree. And I think this is one of the rare instances where I think that peaceful protesting is actually a really good idea.
Yes.
Because I think it is important to go out there and show that like you aren't going to allow these, I mean, the policy, at least in Utah, has gone through, but in other states, like it hasn't. And you're not going to allow these kind of things to happen. And you're not going to allow this kind of violence to be just accepted to trans people, you know?
And it is violence, and
let's
emphasize that
there will always be violence that follows these kinds of things too, you know? And I think showing up to protests does show people like, hey, we're not fucking around, like you're not going to harm these people, you know? And so I think that in like the early phases of something like this, where they are trying to pass legislation in other states similar to what's gone through in Utah, this is a really good time to be out there protesting.
Agreed.
And to you know, call your senators, do all of those kinds of things that in other cases maybe aren't the most effective. I think this is a situation where those things can be really effective.
I agree. And I think, you know, if you see your representatives out in public let them know how you feel. And, you know, I'm not saying like non-violently, like don't allow them to just go to dinner and chill and everything. Like, let them know how you feel, and let them know what, as their constituents, what you require from them. That's their job.
Chose the job they did, and they are supposed to, on paper, represent us. And you have a right to tell them how you feel. Absolutely.
And in places where this kind of legislation has already passed, you still also and definitely should tell them how you feel about the legislation that they allowed to pass, because like these people, again, like Taylor said, just like a cop, you know, they chose this job. Nobody made them run for office, and they need to be like, because it's so difficult to reach them by email or phone or whatever it is, like, they're humans. They go out and eat at restaurants and shit. You have every right as a constituent to go up to them face to face and say, this is what you need to do to represent what the people want. And that's, you have a job, and you are like, that's your job, is to represent us. So
this is what you should be doing.
Anyway, there you go.
That's it. If you would like to see some tweets, you can follow us at RemarksPod on Twitter. My personal Twitter is at VegetableTrash. I also make music at, or I guess it's just Taylor Lacey on streaming services.
You can follow our Instagram, which is at Remarks Podcast. I've caught up on all of our Instagram posts, so they're all there, and you can go like them and comment on them and tell us your thoughts on whatever we were talking about. during those episodes. You can follow my personal Twitter if you feel like seeing me talk about how much I hate Spencer Cox, which is at Phoebes Elise, PhoebesElise. Whatever, you'll find it.
That is a lot of the content on there is how much you hate Spencer Cox.
Yeah. What else?
Patron.
Social medias. Yes. Become a patron if you would like. It's $5 and we're about to post something that's funny. So if you feel like you like listening to us talk to each other, but you feel like laughing and having things that are more lighthearted, go check that out. Thank you to our patrons. Tere Soltero,
Justin Vass,
Andrew Vass,
Emily Doran.
We love you guys.
We love you
so much.
Thank you.
Please rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
That about covers it.
Yeah. Whoop-dee-doo. Well, folks, take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
The end.
Okay. Love you. Bye.